Connected with Ruben Torres, another episode of the Connected with Ruben Torres show. We're hanging out today on a phone call here with my boy Lillo Brancato of Bronx Tale. He's got a long story, a lot of stuff that he's gotten into and a lot of stuff that he's getting out of. And now he's talking to us about staying away from drugs and kind of, redoing his life, man. Love this guy to death. Before we get into that interview, make sure you go check out my boy Anthony Medina at sdlawfirm.com. He's doing a lot of cool stuff here to help the community. He can also help you out in any family law, criminal law, anything that you may need help with. Make sure you reach out to him. If he can't do it, he knows someone that can. So make sure you reach out to him. Also, this episode is brought to you by the Love Thy Neighbor movement. Make sure you check out all the stuff we're trying to make happen here in San Diego, Modesto, and in Tijuana, crossing some international borders here, making some stuff happen. So lovethyneighbormovement.com. Let's get into this with Lillo, and now yous can't leave.
Get connected, C.O. connected with Ruben, C.O. conectado, C.O. connected with Ruben Torres. Yo, if you're C.O.N.E.C.T.A.D.O, you already know about the show, so let's go. It's your music and lifestyle, fashion profile, the entertainment source for everything you want to know about. North to the south, the east to the west side. Stay connected with Ruben Torres worldwide, so let's go. Across the globe, well respected, beasting on the industry. Connected.
Welcome to the Connected Show with Ruben Torres, Connected with Ruben Torres. Today, I have the honor of sitting here for a little bit on the phone with Lillo Brancato. A lot of you might know him as Calogero from Bronx Tale, but he's done a bunch of other stuff, and he's co-starred in The Sopranos, and he's got just a whole bunch of stuff that he's done. He's gonna be into to school us a little bit about the entertainment industry and a lot of the stuff that he's accomplished, behind the scenes of what he's doing. But world-renowned actor, and he's kind of in a redemption mode right now, and honored to have him, man. So thanks, Lillo, for coming on, brother.
Thank you, and thank you for this opportunity, man. I really appreciate it, Ruben.
No, man, you know it, man. We had a conversation several months back, and I wrote that story on our conversation, man, and it was just an honor, man, just to hear you, your heart, man, and where you're at now, and like I was saying, that redemption mode, and we won't even get into all the stuff, your little vacation from 8 years, whatever, but kind of just fill me in a little bit on what you got going on now. I know you're working a movie. I want to say Mike Tyson was in it, and maybe Alec Baldwin or something.
Yeah, that was a few months back. We did I was in a film. Fortunate enough to be in a film with a couple of my close friends, William DeMeo, and Paul Borghese, who took a shot on me and gave me a role where a lot of other people wouldn't, because of whatever backlash that they would have to face based on hiring me. But these are really close and good friends and guys that I look up to and admire. And it was a small role, but it's still something. It's still something, and it's getting back to doing what I truly love, and that is to be an actor. It's a boxing film. It's called Back in the Day. It's got Alec Baldwin, Michael Madsen, Mike Tyson, Larry Merchant, Danny Glover. We got a really good cast. It's set in Brooklyn in the 1980s, and it's a really, really good story.
What was the role you played on that one?
The main character fights my cousin for the championship belt twice. One where he wins and one where he loses. I basically see him at both fights where I'm cheering him on in the crowd and making a fool out of myself, really. And then I see him. I see the main character at a club, and we have some words which eventually and ultimately escalates to a physical altercation.
And is this? I know you had Monsters in Mulberry as well. How many roles have you played recently since you've been back home?
Yeah, I did that. The Monsters of Mulberry Street. That was my first role home. That was the role of a priest, and I liked that. I liked that idea of playing a priest.
Yeah.
To kind of set the tone for my second coming, and it just showed a role, showed responsibility by playing a role like that. One that didn't have any gunplay or any violence, because I just thought it was too early on, and so much had happened, and I just thought that it would be, a selfish and irresponsible move, and would be, let's face it, a slap in the face to the victim's family.
Yeah.
Because it shares like, this guy, was involved in something that, that left our loved one, dead, and, we're never going to see him, and then for him to come home and, actually do something like this is very disrespectful, and, and I know that, and that's why I didn't choose anything of any violence, and, I like the role. I like the role in the character, Father Palladino, paralleled my own life, how he was, made some bad choices and then has turned his life over to God. I mean, I've turned my life over to God, but not, as much as the character did, and became a priest.
Yeah.
But I am a churchgoer. I do believe in, Christ wholeheartedly, because I've seen the difference in my life, and that's attributable only to, a higher power and, who I call Jesus Christ and, and God. So yeah, I did that, and, played that role, and like I said, that character paralleled my own life. How he mentors some of the younger guys, and I try to do as much of that as possible.
Yeah.
I try to work with people that are addicted to drugs and alcohol, and I just think my approach to helping is a much more authentic. Hello.
Yo, must have got cut
Yeah,
off
I lost you. I don't know what happened.
No, it's all right. But you were saying?
Yeah, and that character, paralleled my own life because of. I was saying that my approach is much more authentic than some drug counselor who's never gotten high before, but it maybe has studied addiction and has a different approach. Well, I'm not knocking their approach, but I think sometimes people, the fact that they may recognize mine as being more authentic because I was at one time in the trenches of addiction, may take heed to what I have to say a little bit more, and it may be, it may go the extra mile in helping them, which is something that I do with all my heart, and something that also helps keep me, strong and on the right path, because it's like now people, are relying on you to, stay on the right path, because your strength gives them strength. So you can't slip and fall, because now you have, these others that are depending on you to, stay, on the right path. And together we give each other strength. And that's why, hence, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, you're much stronger as a group than you are by yourself.
Yeah, that's true. And so when you found Christ when you were inside still, right? Is that you came to God while you were inside?
Say again?
You found Christ when you were inside?
Yes, I did find Christ while I was inside. It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It happened as the time went on, and how I saw, the metamorphosis in me, in myself, and how I see just the way things started to play out, and just the way my life was changing daily, that I said, wow, this was God's plan. God put me here for a reason. And and the reason and the plan was starting to unfold and reveal itself.
Yeah.
And it was just, how could you not be a believer after that?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the way you're using your influence to help others, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. And I wish more people in your position would kind of step up to bat and do the kind of stuff that you're doing outside of the entertainment industry. Just to step up and go work with the kids and kind of share your story with them, man. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing. So salute to that, bro.
Yeah, thank you, man. Well, I was, shot multiple times. I could have been, away forever in prison. But, God saw to it that, I'm still here, and once again, a free man. And, that was for a reason, and that reason is to do exactly what we just spoke about.
Yeah.
And that is to, extend my, my knowledge that I have acquired through the experience.
Yes.
To help other people.
Amen to that, brother.
So.
And so,
yeah, I didn't escape all of that for me to come back out and do what I was doing before. That's not the way God works, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And, I know you've told the story a million times to everybody, but can you give me the quick rundown on how you got involved in the entertainment industry as an actor?
They found me on the beach when I was 15, about to be 16. They found me on the beach. They were handing out flyers for the Bronx Tale. My brother, came and got me out of the water and introduced the guy because my brother told the guy my brother would be perfect for this. I took the flyer. I went in to read, and I just kept getting callbacks. Eventually, about a month later, I met Deniro, and then the rest just happened. And, at that age, the tender age of 15 turning 16, you can't fully comprehend what is in front of you and the opportunity and the blessing that you have been given just because, you're just too young. Mm. And, had that happened to me, in my early 20s or even mid-20s, where I was, a little wiser, a little smarter, a little wiser, and could have comprehended better what it was that I was given, I may have made, some way better decisions behind the whole thing, but, I didn't. And, I ended up where I ended up.
Yeah.
And, that can happen. I definitely, if I could go back, it definitely would have been a lot different. But, we can't do that in life. Yeah. We could just hope to make better decisions based on what based on our past and through, just our life experience and see where we went wrong in certain situations and just know not to do that again, in the future. That's about,
And now, knowing what, on the business side, knowing what how are you, now do you have an agent now? You have a manager, a rep?
Yes, I do.
And so you're out getting...
I actually right now have 4 different managers.
Oh, wow.
Usually in Hollywood, you'll have a manager and an agent where you'll have to pay out 10% to each.
Yeah.
Well, I have four guys who are working really hard that, believe in me so much that we're willing to take 5% each.
Wow.
So it's like I got 4 guys for the price of 2. And, they're not any less because they're getting paid less. These guys are really capable and really, great at what they do. Mm. And, like I said, they've known me for a while. They believe in me and in my comeback. So, we're all working really hard to get back to, where I was and even further. Yeah. I'm trying, I'm at the point now where, I'm trying to create my own opportunities, raising money to do different things. And, a couple of, opportunities have presented themselves in that aspect to where I will be able to secure some financing for some stuff that we want to do, one of my partners and I, and and see what happens with that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, what other income opportunities as an actor does one have once, because if you're not making a movie, you're not working. But outside of that, what other income opportunities would you say you may have outside of acting?
Well, outside of acting, I do make a pretty decent living in appearances, just appearing in different places.
Yeah.
With parole, that's always an obstacle. But it's not really a bad obstacle. I don't really even want to say I embrace parole for many reasons. Because it keeps me in line. I know where I have to be. I'm restricted as to where I can travel. Without, authorization or permission. Usually for work, they usually have no problem giving me, permission to travel wherever I need to go, as long as it's all documented. It's all on paper, every detail, which is fine because, and I could not have asked for a better parole officer I mean, the guy's, you know, the absolute best. You know, I mean, this guy, I would, you know, I mean, the guy, I mean, he's tremendous. He's tremendous. The only thing is he retires at the end of the year, you know. But, yeah, I've been really blessed with, like, probably the best parole officer in the world, you know. So, you know, that's definitely made things easier for me to navigate. Not in a way where I've been given preferential treatment. You know, it's more like he's more understanding, knowing that, you know, the profession of which I am in, you know, it's very sporadic and it's very spur of the moment. Where you know, I could call him one day and say, "Listen, I know I just saw you, but I got to come back. You know, tomorrow I need a travel pass to, you know, like a permission, you know, like a permission slip, like when your kid goes on a class trip." I mean, it's that kind of concept, you know, as an adult. But you know what? It is what it is. So, listen, I made bad decisions. I made the bed. I got to lay in it now. You know.
Yeah. Does that mean we're going to be seeing you in California soon?
You know, I hope that, listen, I would love to be out there. I haven't been out there since, you know, I mean, listen, it could happen next week. I hope to God it does.
Yeah. Well, cool, man.
I mean, a lot of opportunities out there, you know?
Yeah, and so, you know, knowing what you know, and I know you're trying to stay busy, and you got, you know, a couple films, and is there something that you're going to be working on, anything that you're writing right now, or anything that you're directing or producing that you can talk about?
Well, you know, this my friend wrote a book. I can't really disclose any information about the book or what the book is, but it's a book that we are trying to make into a feature film.
Nice. You don't got to go any deeper if you don't want. It's all good.
You know, so I don't. Yeah. Well, you know, just it's a really, really good book. It can appeal to two different genres because it's like two different books in one, and I see the commercial value of it, and I know it would make for a good movie and make for one that is lucrative as well.
Nice. And you know, you've been blessed enough to be in the presence of a lot of great men, influential men, and you yourself are influential. What advice have you gotten, like, say, from someone like Chazz or Bobby, like Robert Deniro? What advice have you gotten from them that you either wish you would have listened to back then, or it still, like, you know, resonates? And what advice would you give anybody wanting to get into the entertainment industry?
You know, I would just say, listen, you know, getting into it, you know, it can be very discouraging because there's a lot of rejection, and, you know, that's part of it. I mean, if you look at a guy like George Clooney, do you know how many years he tried before he got, you know, he landed ER, how many pilots he shot, and how many little things he did? You know, and, you know, a guy like that, like, you know, any other person would have probably gotten discouraged and said, you know what, this is not for me. This is a sign. I've been at this. But you know what? He kept at it. He landed ER, and now he's like, you know, a major movie star.
Yeah.
You know, so just never give up. You know, so, I mean, never give up. And also, if you do whatever, appreciate every opportunity that you get. Every single opportunity that you get, you know, you have to appreciate it and never take it for granted. Because it may be here today and gone tomorrow. And I saw that because I squandered a lot of opportunities. I thought I was too good for some stuff because I found success at a really young age, and it didn't, you know, it came easy for me. And I just thought that it would always be there. And you know what? It wasn't. It wasn't. And then, you know, the jobs, you know, became, you know, far and few between. And I guess I was trying to recreate the high that I was getting from being, you know, and seeing myself on the big screen, by, self-medicating. But, it's definitely not the same high.
And Robert De Niro came to your house, right, to give you some advice.
Yes, he did.
What words did he give you?
Well, he just told me that when this movie comes out, your life is really, really going to change.
Yeah, and it did.
I mean,
what about Chazz? Did Chazz give you anything? Anything that you can say just resonated to this very day?
Well, he basically said the same thing, and he said that, how it took him such a long time to break into the business, and that he had written that script so long ago, and it took him so long before he was able to get it made. Just not to take anything for granted, and that's why, this is what the advice I would give, and as I just said, because he knew how special it was, because he was much older and was able to comprehend what it was, to be working alongside Robert De Niro and to have his, the story of his life be directed and, starred in Robert De Niro,
Yeah.
So,
And what would you say? What would you want your legacy to be? If everything ended today, like what would you want your legacy to be?
I want my legacy to be, a guy who was, part of many special things, and behind those special things made a lot of bad decisions and paid for those bad decisions in a big way, and someone even lost their life. But, I was able to turn my life around and use the experience to help others become better people.
Yeah, and you're doing that, man. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate that.
I'm sure a lot of those kids out there, man, appreciate that. And you're working pretty close with the Boys and Girls Club and YMCA?
Yes, well, I've been at the Richfield Boys and Girls Club. I've been to several colleges, high schools. I work with people daily on my social media. People reach out to me, through private messaging and stuff like that. People that are, struggling, still sick and suffering and struggling with the disease of addiction. And I try to, speak to them daily and try to give them the best advice possible.
Yeah.
And
hopefully,
hopefully it works.
And I mean, I know you got, some from the beginning of your career, it was kind of just one of those dream things, like, where, man, I can't believe I'm this young and I'm doing this with the caliber of people that you're doing it with. You mentioned earlier how if you would have been a different age when it was started, you would have made different decisions. Have you met up with any like child actors or any teenage actors that you feel have been kind of going down that route? Because, you see like someone like Justin Bieber, he just turned 18 and, he's been going down some crazy routes, and now I know he's trying to fix some of his situations. But do you reach out to
I mean, I remember one time, I did an interview for the Daily News here in New York City, and I tried to reach out to, they asked me about Lindsey Lohan, and I just made a comment and just reaching out to her and just telling her to be really careful, because when we haven't reached that moment of clarity, we never think that it's us that the bad things are going to happen to, but believe me, it happens. So be really, really careful, because you never know what can happen as a result of your addiction and your bad decision making behind the addiction.
Yeah.
So basically, I just told her to be careful. I've never heard anything back or anything, but I'm sure she saw it.
And also, I know recently, we won't get too deep into that, but I know recently I seen something where one of your the co-stars from Sopranos, he declined a role because you were involved in the film somehow.
Yeah, Joe Ganiscoli.
Yeah.
I mean, Joe was always a good guy. I didn't really know him well, but what I did know of him, he was always a good guy. Mm-hmm. And I guess, he thought for himself that he made the the responsible decision, and I respect it. I respect it, and like I said, I thought, and I've said this before, I thought that he could have. He's a talented guy. I loved his work in The Sopranos, and I thought that he could have brought, his take on the character could have, been something special. I mean, but ultimately, we Artie Pasquale from The Sopranos, was filled the role and played the role, and he was tremendous. He was tremendous, to the point where I couldn't see anybody else in that role. He's a really great guy, Artie Pasquale, and very talented. So, I mean, I guess things happen for a reason. Listen, I'm not mad at Joe because it's, because of my, mistakes, in the past that, that decision was made by him. And I respect it. I respect it. He supports the cops. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, these guys, stick their necks out for us every day and protect us. And, for not a lot of money,
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's just the way, that's just the, the way it goes. So there's nothing wrong with the decision he made, and I respect it. And that's,
Yeah. Is there anybody in mind that you would love to either work with again, or somebody you haven't worked with that you would love to work with?
I would love to work with Al Pacino.
Yeah.
I mean, he and Deniro, growing up in the late 70s, early 80s, in the 80s, the 90s, these guys, just in where I grew up and just, our culture, being raised Italian. I mean, I am Colombian blood, born Colombian, but I am raised by Italians.
Yeah.
With the Italian culture, especially in New York City. I mean, these guys loved, they always were and always will be, and made some of the best films, ever. And, that's a guy that I really would love to work with. I mean, De Niro's, would have been on the list also, but, I was really, God bless, fortunate enough to have worked with him. So,
Yeah, and I noticed too, you've been doing a lot of some, or I don't know if a lot, but you've been doing some of these appearances where they actually show the film, and then you can kind of come out and you speak about the film and the role in the film. Are you doing a lot more of that, or is that was that just a couple one-offs?
No, not much. Wait, not really, not really. I mean, it's not something I would be opposed to doing again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I noticed too. Chazz was doing. He was doing like a one man show kind of deal of a Bronx Tale. Did you hear about that?
Yeah. The Bronx Tale's even being made into a musical on Broadway.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, is there any chance of you jumping onto that role at all? Or?
No, I mean, no. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be able to play Calogero because, he's 16, 17 years old, the character. I'm a little too old for that now. No, there wouldn't be. It's not something I would, listen, the film is a timeless classic.
Yep.
And,
sure.
It was a great story, and I'm sure the musical is going to be just as good. But I don't think there's any shot that I will be in it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I've been hoping that definitely you and Chazz kind of clear some of that stuff up and keep it in the past and move forward, man. And I'd love to see you guys work together again on something, But you never know what the future holds, brother. But any last word, any stuff that you'd like to promote or anything that you got going on? I don't want to take too much of your time. You got some stuff going on, but.
Well, we spoke about the two films. I also did a short film called The Bronx Dahmer, which is going to be in festivals. And I did an episode of, vampire bikers, Van Bikers. So, just mention all of that and inform, those out there listening that, I will be part of, all four things I mentioned. And, constantly and steadily plugging away and just trying to make things happen. And, things seem to be getting easier and easier, so we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, I think I did see a trailer that you had posted on Twitter on the Vampire Bikers. You had a couple cool fellow actors on that I think it's kind of a cool little concept. Can you talk more about that film?
Well, Vampire Bikers is we had Angel Salazar from Scarface who played Chi-Chi. It's definitely Eric Rivas is the writer director who's also in it. It was really cool. It's just basically about vampires, witches. My character, I was told to think of the Munsters, and I was Cousin Lily, the only normal one. The rest were all witches or vampires. Yeah. And my character rescues this little girl who's been missing and brings her back to the mom. Only turns out that wasn't the mom that I gave the little girl back to. It was in fact a witch. And something that, because he was, decorated and, was given a commendation for, saving the little girl. And that was like the single, he says these exact words, is the single best moment of his life. And then when he finds out that, that the girl was given to the wrong person, he was just devastated by it. So it was cool. It was cool. It was a cool, it was one scene. Actually two scenes, but the second one was small. But it was one scene, but there was a lot I was able to show, as far as my acting chops in one scene because of the different emotions from, being happy to recount the story and then only to find out that, I was mistaken and not, the girl wasn't given back to the mom. And then this is like something that he was, that's pretty much was the highlight of his whole life. And this was like, 15, 20 years ago that he did this. And then to find that out, it's like, devastating. So that was, cool to be able to play that.
Yeah, and that's going to be out in the independent film circuit coming out soon?
Yeah, that should be out in festivals. They submitted it to Tribeca. I know that's a film festival you've heard of. Yeah, and, the Coney Island Film Festival and many other film festivals. Nice. So, we'll see what happens.
Nice. No, man, I appreciate your time. You're always extremely kind. Anytime I hit you up, and I know we can still catch on my website. We can still catch the story I wrote from our conversation we had a few months back.
Yeah, that was great, by the way.
No, thank you, man. Thank you, man. It was real inspiring just to have that conversation with you, man. And this time I didn't want to go too deep into I don't want to keep bringing up those wounds, man. So I just kind of wanted to catch up with you, man. And I know you're a man of influence, pretty much worldwide. And regardless of what happened in the past, you still are reaching for your goals and still reaching for your dreams, man. And that's inspiring in itself because, it's hard to keep a good man down, brother. And, you're doing what you love to do and getting paid doing it still. So, congrats with that, man. And hopefully we can have you out in Cali soon. So
yeah, believe me, I would love to be out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, believe me, I would love to be out there.
Yeah, let me know whenever you start making plans, man. And I'll book some stuff out here for you, man. Whatever we can do. But I know I promised you I wasn't going to take too much of your time, brother. And again, just want to say thanks, man. Where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. My name is on Instagram, Lillo, Lillo _Brancato, Brancato. And also on Twitter, it's at Lillo, Lillo, no space or anything altogether, Lillo, Brancato, Lillo Brancato.
Yeah, and you can find them through my stuff too because I got you on there, and you're pretty heavy on Instagram. I always see you posting all kinds of stuff. And are you doing? You're doing some work.
Say again?
You're doing some workout stuff as well, right? Like on some health stuff. Like you have a program or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely on a health.
Oh yeah, you're ripped up right now. You're looking like a action figure.
Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, to tell people how much you've changed, and is not as big as being able to show them. And I think the way I look physically speaks volumes of the way I have changed.
Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but because I work really hard at my physical appearance and the way I look.
Yeah,
and I guess it's just I got something to prove and make up for, lost times and, things that, where my life went wrong, and I just want to show people that not only that, to prove people wrong, but that's not the reason. The reason why is I want to show people that there is life after addiction.
Yeah.
It's because you're down doesn't mean you're out. You can always get back up and come back stronger than you were before, and that's what I want to show people, and that's what I want to be a product of.
Yeah.
And symbolic of, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and definitely, I mean, you're showing. I mean, dude, I've seen the pictures where your shirt's off and you're completely ripped up, looking like an action figure, and I'm like, dude, this dude is.
Thanks, bro.
I'm like, this dude's doing it, man.
Yeah, thanks, pal. I appreciate that.
Is that something you're working into, like a program where you're coaching anybody, or you're is that like being involved in some of the outside stuff that you're doing outside of acting?
No, you know what? I should be, because I love to do it, and I think I can even earn a pretty decent living personal training.
Yeah.
That's something that that's something I should be doing, but I just don't. Something that I definitely will consider in the future. Because right now I'm putting all my eggs in one basket, and that is to get back on track as far as the acting. And this is something that's very important to me. So we'll see what happens.
And you have a fiance as well, right? Or girlfriend?
No, well, she's my girlfriend. She will be my fiance soon. Once I get in a better financial position. I mean, she's definitely the one that I want to spend the rest of my life with, and will spend the rest of my life with.
Nice.
I just want to get a little more financially stable to be able to make the situation much better. Well,
congrats on that. And,
thank you, man. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, buddy.
Yeah, and you could see the happiness, man, and I salute everything you're doing, man, and ever since we talked the first time, I was like, man, this is a real cat, man. This is a real dude doing some real stuff, and I think if we can all look past our pasts, we can see that the diamonds that are coming out, those gems in people, man. So keep doing what you do, brother. And some of the people that are listening, they're believers, and just because I know everything you've been through and everything you're looking to do. Is there anything you could say that you may want possible prayer for, or anything?
Well, I just want a prayer for all of those out there still sick and suffering from this horrible disease of drug addiction and alcoholism, and and for myself also, because I know you're never totally cured from it. It's something that's always with you, and it just depends on if you're going to feed the monster inside of you.
Yeah.
This is going to determine whether or not that monster is going to, take you over. And I haven't been feeding the monster, so he's at bay and he's sleeping, and that's the way I want to keep him for the rest of my life. And that's why, prayer is required to, keep things that way.
There you have it, man. There you have it. Well, thank you, Lillo, man. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your time, and I wasn't trying to take up too much of it, man, but thank you, man, for everything you do, and helping back, giving back to the community, and helping some of these kids, one child at a time over at the YMCA and Boys and Girls Club, as they learn from your mistakes, But keep doing what you do, brother, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Maybe we can catch up after the movie comes out, and stay in touch, man. Anything you need out here
Definitely,
in Cali.
Ruben. Thank you so much once again for this awesome opportunity, bro. I appreciate it. All right.
No problem, man. Thank you, and stay in touch, man. And I'll keep you posted when all this stuff comes out. Appreciate you, man.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And I definitely will.
All right.
Have a good night, Ruben. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. And there you have it, Lillo
Bye-bye.
Brancato. He's coming out from New York online. So want to thank Lillo for doing what he does. God bless you guys. Another episode of the Connected Show. Gotta go. Here we go. All up in your ear hole. Boom. Connected. Spread it around. Let everybody know we're doing some good things over here. And, people are learning from other people's mistakes, and that's how we roll. But also you learn about the industry that they're in. So God bless you guys. We'll talk soon. Connected. All up in your ear hole. Laters.